We want to start off with the story of Fanta Bility, as we discussed on previous programs. Her tragic killing that took place due to the negligence of these police officers who were, just firing at will, and she was struck by the bullets. And the family is now seeking restitution. Baba Makaru, do you want to give us an update on the family settlement and where we are with Sister Fantability's story?
Oh, Arshay, good brother. Before I go to the Fanta, I want to mention that on October 4th, we celebrated 80 years. Our brother, Imam Jamil El Amin, formerly known as H. Rap Brown, born on October 4th, 1943, celebrated his 80th revolution around the sun while being held in the federal prison in Tucson, Arizona. This brother meant so much to the people of my generation, inspired us, took us to just incredible levels. And he is truly a prisoner of war, a prisoner of the U.S. government's war on the Black Liberation Movement, which was our second lost opportunity of the 20th century, preceded, of course, by the demise of the Garvey movement. Blessed are those who struggle. Oppression is worse than the grave. It is better to die for a noble cause than to live and die a slave. Imam Jamil El Amin. And it was words like that that inspired us to become involved in the Black Liberation Movement and to try to move our people to liberation and empowerment and a higher level of human life. And he was convicted on a trumped up charges on a state crime involving the death of a Georgia sheriff's deputies for some strange reason, went to arrest him for a failure. Gosh, I dropped my iPad. Failure to appear for a traffic violation. And a shootout occurred. A person has confessed that they were the person who actually did it, but the Imam Jamil El Amin, who was doing so much work in the Southwest Atlanta neighborhood where he had businesses and a mosque, he was arrested after realizing that he was going to be charged. He fled to Alabama and was arrested, convicted in a state court, but was considered too dangerous to be in a state prison in Georgia. So they transferred him to Florence ADX, the most secure prison in the United States, where Larry Hoover and several others, Jeff Ford and several others are being held. And brother has suffered a tremendous health issues over the years. And there's a petition now to move him back to Georgia so that he could participate in the continuing efforts to get a new trial. And we have all of this posted on our Facebook page. So we asked if you would check our Facebook page and copy and paste this letter and send it to the authorities so that the brother should be freed. But at the bare minimum, if he can't be freed, we need to have him move back, to the Atlanta area, because there's a federal prison in that area. So I just wanted to mention that we recognize and celebrate our revolutionary brothers' 80th revolution around the sun. Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe.
Okay, now regarding Fanta Bility, this 8-year-old sister whose parents migrated from West Africa to the United States for a better life, tragically killed in August 2021, leaving a football game by 3 police officers. And we started covering this story as soon as we heard about it here on African Liberation Media. We've done several stories on it. I've written several articles about it in the local newspaper, And I think it's a disgrace that the national African American community didn't rally around Fanta to levels that should have exceeded George Floyd, because this is an 8-year-old girl. There's no video, and it's like we have to have video now before we can do anything, which is utterly ridiculous. But we covered the story. There was a altercation after the football game. Two groups of young black people had an altercation. Gunshots were fired. 3 police officers were in the area. They heard the gunshots. They had no idea who fired the gunshots. They just knew the general area from where they came. They saw these 2 sisters, obviously in fear of losing their lives, driving away. These 3 officers, 2 European Americans, 1 African, fired into the car that the young ladies were driving, trying to escape, shattering the glasses and windshields in the car. But luckily, they were not struck, but except for by flying glass. Bullets went through the car, struck 8-year-old Fanta Bility, her sister, who I think was 11, I believe, at the time, and another young girl. Fanta died in her mother's arms. Initially, the authorities in the township, I think it's Upper Darby, PA, tried to, no, it's Delaware County, Delaware County, tried to blame the young men that were in the altercation, but the community there just kept applying pressure. They finally had to charge the officers. Officers faced some serious charges, including involuntary manslaughter, reckless endangerment. They cut a plea deal. And they were sentenced in May. Get this. You kill an 8-year-old child, you injure 4 other people, and you get no active time. You get 5 years probation. And they call this a criminal justice system. It was an absolute miscarriage of justice. But the family did file a federal lawsuit, which was settled last couple of weeks ago, and they, or maybe it was last week, they were awarded the max, because the law capped the amount of money that can be paid out at $11 million. No amount of money can pay for the loss of this child. No amount of money. It may bring some degree of justice, a small degree of justice to the family, but no amount of money. I think the Bility family will actually get, for Fanta and her sister, $8 million. And then the other 3 that were injured, the 2 sisters and the other child, will get $1 million apiece, I believe. But, we just wanted to pass that information along, because in my opinion, the national African American community just fell flat on our faces for not rallying around this young lady. But the local community, local people in the community themselves organized and continued to fight, and that's what has to happen. And
But this is a clear case where their efforts in organizing actually led to at least the blame being correctly placed where it's supposed to be. Because, like you said
exactly,
initially, they actually charged the other men who the police were shooting at. They actually charged them with Fanta Bility's death and also the injuries of the other people.
they
So even
did.
though it came from the police officers' guns that they fired, they tried to put the charges on the people that they were shooting at, which is ridiculous.
Yes.
Just as
Yeah.
ridiculous as the 5-year probation. And what it really shows is that when you are a police officer, you are protected by, in most cases, by the protection that's given, in some cases even immunity that's given to police officers,
Yes. Yes.
which leads to them not being heavily charged or sentenced to any real time.
They don't even suffer
But
financially. I mean, they don't have they have a loss of that
right, I mean
particular
that's the
job. But
taxpayers are paying that $11 million. Uh,
yeah,
and
the
police
money should
officers
every
doing their
dime they
job.
got, every
Right.
dime they have should go into that fund. And most often these people get hired afterwards. If they don't get hired by another police department somewhere, they'll be hired as security or whatever. So they
And
go
now
on with
that
their
would,
lives.
that would slow a lot of these shootings down if police officers who were convicted of these killings had if they were not given time, if they had their wages garnished every month to pay off those lawsuits, a lot of them would think twice about the reckless endangerment in shooting and firing and firearms the way that they do.
Yeah, that's why they in a just system you wouldn't have any such thing as qualified immunity
Mm-hmm.
that says that you don't have any responsibility for your actions. You don't have any financial responsibility for your actions. And so they will go on with their lives. They will go on with their lives. And it's but as you said, if not for the effort of Delco Resist and the other organizations up there, that there white people, some Europeans were involved in fighting for this justice. And uh, this would never have happened if the people had sat down. Then they would have discharged the two guys that were shooting at one another under this. I can't think of the legal term now that they use that says that if you cause the police to kill somebody, then you are guilty of murder yourself. So
That's ridiculous.
yeah, but we did want to say that because we were one of the few people outside of the Pennsylvania area there, south of Philadelphia, that tried to bring national attention, to this story. And so, we're obligated to report it all the way through. And there is there's one other piece of legal action that they're trying. They want the complete unredacted police files on this case. And the police are obviously resisting that. So we don't know how far that's going to go into the courts, but that is one other piece that's taking place. And so we'll stay on that and report back if anything happens as a result of that.
It's amazing in a so-called democracy how oftentimes these organizations are afraid of giving unredacted documents. What do you have to hide? This is why we say these people are afraid of the truth, because the truth will incriminate many of them and prohibit them from being able to continue to do a lot of these wrongdoings. And that's just not on the local police level, but all the way up to the federal level. We've seen the FBI oftentimes redact these documents, and other organizations redact documents due to the fear of people knowing the truth. And they try to hide it on the federal level. They try to hide it behind, it being a threat to national security.
Mm-hmm.
But it really is because they do a lot of illegal tactics that they don't want exposed to the public, which, there's a lot of bribe, there's a lot of uh, internal affairs that happen amongst, when you have these informants and you have, all these other plants that they
Mm-hmm.
use to get information and evidence, and they never want to expose that information.
Absolutely not. I mean, we the documents on Omar Wally Malcolm X, the documents on Martin Luther King, they will not release the complete unredacted documents. As a matter of fact, Congress passed a law that said, I believe it was in 2017, 2018, I can't remember what year it was, all of the documents on the assassination of John F. Kennedy were supposed to be released. Congress passed a law requiring that. Trump was the president at the time. It may have been 2018. I can't remember what year it was now, but I know Trump was the president. He released some of the documents, but what he released was information that people already had. So they won't even when they have a law, Joe Biden, he won't touch it. So what are they hiding? What are they hiding? And so then following the lead of the federal government, you have the same thing happening at the local levels, and you just never you never know exactly what the real story is, what the truth. What kind of efforts did they go through, for example, to try to save these police officers? Okay, so I mean, what do these police officers actually admit to or whatever? The documents are redacted. Okay, so and just like when you get your Freedom of Information Act files from the COINTELPRO era, you have sometimes almost the whole page, has been covered. Might be a word or two there, particularly when anybody's names or whatever, like the names of the government informers within the Nation of Islam, within the Black Panther Party, so yeah, and they call it a democracy.
Disguised hypocrisy.
Disguised hypocrisy.